This is Dennis McMahon, and welcome to Positively Vermont. And today, my guest is Doris Sumner, the president of Empowering Gender Opportunities, LLC. And we're going to be speaking about some of her work in empowering gender opportunities and a forthcoming lecture at the Milton Economic Development Group. So, good morning, Doris.
Good morning, Dennis. Thank you for having me.
Well, we haven't spoken with Doris, believe it or not, since October of 2023. And that time really flew, and we spoke with her about her book, which was launched at that time, called Life at Camp. You can see the cover in the background. But first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a retired Army National Guard veteran. And as you said, I published a book in 2023 about my experience. I spent 36 years in the National Guard, 3 years active duty, and then Vermont National Guard. And my experience and the challenges that I faced inspired me to write this memoir about my time. And I've retired. I launched a diversity consulting business in my attempt to take my leadership skills and what I was passionate about working for the Guard into the civilian world. And I live in Milton, and that's what I'm doing.
Tell us what the reaction was to your book, and what efforts you been making since that publication.
Well, I launched the book in November 2023. It's self-published, so you have to self-promote. And I've sent it to a number of veterans organizations and lawmakers, Vermont lawmakers and national representatives, because I am introducing some concepts around gender equality that I feel would help recruit more women into the Guard and improve the overall recruiting crisis, but also the diversity of gender at the highest levels of the military. And so, I've been doing book talks and, went to some fairs and had really powerful conversations with survivors of military sexual trauma and sexism, veterans, and also just those in the public who've experienced sexism in their workforce and in their daily lives. And the book, I've had some really encouraging conversations on how the book impacted them and inspired them to really take note of how it impacts their lives. And so I launched my ebook and my audiobook this last year, so people are able to read it or listen to it or get it on their Kindle. And so I've had people from all over the country read the book, and that's been very exciting to me.
Now, we've been hearing the word DEI a lot lately. In fact, today I heard it on a Canadian radio station. Could you explain what DEI is and what work you do? You're a consultant with DEI. Tell us what that involves.
Yeah, well, the Milton Economic Development Commission, I went to them looking for space to do a workshop because I wanted a free workshop, because I wanted to showcase to leaders what it looks like. And it seems like recently the acronym DEIA or DEI, it seems like scary words, but those words are diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And they're not scary words. They're actually about creating environments where every team member feels safe and they feel like they belong. So they're not scary words, but putting together in this acronym can kind of trigger that it's about affirmative action, or it's about putting, people, giving them undue privilege or undue advantages and things like that. So my company is called Empowering Gender Opportunities, and the acronym is EGO. And the acronym is intentional because ego represents a sense of self, how you feel about yourself. And we know that there's many people who have a very balanced sense of self and they treat people with respect. But then we have people who have a strong, big ego, and they can be off-putting, feeling like they're superior. Conversely, there's people who have low self-esteem, and they also can be targeted to be bullied or put down. So the work I do, it focuses on addressing these dynamics and fostering these inclusive environments, these inclusive, respectful cultures. And that does mean the terms diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, because we're talking about all types of people. And a lot of small businesses, the reason why I went to my local town office was a lot of small businesses face these cultural challenges as the diversity of our people show up, but they don't have the resources or the solutions of how to recruit, retain, and keep those people in their company. I mean, that's what we want. We want businesses, big and small, thriving, and the employees saying, this is a great place to work. I like working here. You should come work here. That's what we want, the culture of our work center, whether you're working in a small restaurant or you're working in a big tech company, that's the kind of feeling that you want your employees to have. And so that is what DEIA, those concepts are aiming at, is ensuring that leaders who work for those companies have these skill sets, which can be taught and encouraged, to bring people in, keep them motivated, and having them want to come to work for them.
Well, if you could tell us, let's say you're dealing with a small business whose overhead and survival may be marginal. How does DEI or your program benefit them?
Okay, well, as I'm going to present in the workshop, okay, there's a lot of innovative ways that we can integrate leadership, inclusive leadership, and leadership development. And it's not about hiring a contractor and having an expensive class that goes on for a day or a week and you get a certificate and you're all set. No, it's about integrating these small ways of engaging your workforce. And a lot of it is just engagement. And so you have to be creative, especially, like I said, you can't take everybody off the floor from doing the job to go to these trainings. So it's looking for ways, innovative ways, to ensure that the employees that you have working for you can find connection and trust so that they're respectful of each other while they're doing the job. So it might be something like doing a community service event together, maybe Green Up Day, or helping the community in some way, and you all go out as a team together, or even picnics or hikes or something like that, going to a fair together, building something together, maybe painting the boys club or something like that, painting the wall at the boys club. These are ways that your employees can be together in the non-working environment, find that connection, and build mentoring relationships. So that when they are on the floor, when they are in the factory, they have that respect and they're helping each other and you're feeling included and kinship. And that's what inclusive leadership is about. So I will be encouraging the leaders that come to the workshop to be creative and think about, depending on the size of their company and the resources available and the work that people are doing, how can you build that? How can you build that connection and trust? It's so important.
Right. Now, Positively Vermont has a wide audience, which is outside Vermont. Sometimes we even go international. And why don't you tell us a little bit about Milton and the Milton Economic Development Commission, the scope of the town and how you engage with those officials, and why are they interested in providing this information?
Well, yes, this commission is really passionate about building the economic success and having a thriving community. And there are 175 businesses based in Milton. Our population is around 10,000. So it's, fairly small town, but it's growing. And when you think about 175 businesses, all kinds of businesses from, trucking and maintenance to restaurants to insurance companies, we have the plant, Husky Plant's a very thriving business that's in Milton, Vermont, based in Milton, Vermont, and restaurant repair and Charter Boys trucking. So there is a very big, diverse group of businesses, and they're vying for talent. So what the commission is doing is trying to help these businesses thrive. What are their challenges? Is it recruiting? Is it retention? Is it HR problems? Is it, effective communication? So bringing these businesses together and sharing their business challenges, then the EDC can look for ways to help them overcome it. And so when I approached them, I was talking about the term inclusive leadership and how critical that is for business success. Because when you hire somebody, and maybe you're the owner of the company and you're not on the floor training that individual, you've put somebody in charge to train that individual their first day, their first week, their first shift. It's so important that that leader is inspiring to them and, reflects the model, the culture of the company, so that the employee says, you know what, it was a tough day. I learned a lot, but I'm looking forward to going back tomorrow. We don't want new employees to say, I totally don't belong here. I didn't feel respected. I'm not going back. Right. And that happens a lot. That's one of the challenges that business have, is keeping employees. So those first interactions, those first engagements are so important to, and not everybody is going to work out. Not everybody is going to like that particular job, but the more included they feel and the more respected they feel, the more they're going to give it a chance. Because those first couple of weeks, those first couple of shifts, as they're getting to know the job, becoming proficient in whatever skill they're doing for the company, the longer they're going to give it a chance. So, maybe I can make it work here.
So this is really a lot more about human relations than any of the regulations that the government or state, local, and federal have been focusing on in recent years.
Yeah, there's a lot of research to show that when you try to force people to behave, we kind of rebel against that. But when we invite people to change, when we engage with people, when we're working with somebody who maybe comes from another country, their family of origins from another country, and they speak, their first language is not American or English, right? So we're challenged with them because we're from here. This is how we speak. And so it takes a little bit of effort, but when we try to force them to get along, it's almost like people shut down. But when we engage with them, that's why I say those community or outside of work events that you can do, it lets people get to know each other and connect in a different way. So then when they are on the floor, when they are in the warehouse, when they are on the sandwich line or whatever it is, they have that connection and they're more supportive of each other as human beings. And so the DEIA, sometimes it triggers this, you have to get along with people that are different than you. But when we talk about leader development, inclusive leadership, we're just talking about feeling connected and feeling belonged. And so that's what I wanted to introduce to the local business community, because, I've heard and experienced a lot of businesses who their biggest challenge is keeping people, because there's so many businesses that are looking and they have the "we're hiring" sign, and they'll get somebody in, and it costs a lot of money to advertise, hire somebody, do all the paperwork, do that initial training, and then have them walk out the door. It is challenging for businesses. So keeping them is very important. And this skill set of inclusive leadership, I think, can enhance your business profitability.
That's great. Before we go any further, I just want to make sure we tell people that this workshop will be held on Wednesday, February 5th at 6 p.m. at the Milton Grange Hall. And I'm sure you can look at the Town of Milton website. Do you have that? Because there are Miltons in Canada, Miltons in England.
It's actually 4 o'clock, 4 to 6. And they'll have a very short, brief EDC meeting and then introduce me, and we'll do the workshop. So from 4 to 6 at the Milton Grange Hall. And there is a registration link, and you don't have to be from Milton to come. They're not going to turn you away because, like I said, the EDC is about building the local economy. So, if you're from Essex or Burlington or whatever, and you'd like to come, go to the website. It's I don't have it right in front of me, but if you look up the Economic Development Commission in Milton, and you should see the event page, and you could register for the event. It's free, and I would love to have businesses of all kind. I worked in the military for a long time and served servicemen and women. And in the military, leader development starts right after you finish your basic training, because you can find yourself in a leadership position in your first year as a squad leader or a platoon leader, even in a combat zone. And you are leading people from all walks of life, from all different types of backgrounds. So it's really important that you are a leader with confidence, and you're lifting people up and you're inspiring them. So leader development in the military is so important. And that's why it's important in the business community, because our business community success, again, is about getting good people and keeping them so you can develop them into eventually shift leaders, supervisors, managers, project managers. So leader development has to be integrated into your culture of your workforce.
I noticed the title is Inclusive Leadership and Building High Performing Teams. Now, how is that going to be covered?
Yeah, well, like I said, in the military, a lot of our issues were the gender bias because they're very male dominated. Sometimes you could find yourself in a company with 150 people and maybe 3 or 4 women. And so it's really important that the majority culture is inclusive of those who are the anomaly. And you want, again, those diverse thoughts, those diverse backgrounds. And so when you're all getting along and you're respecting each other and you're open-minded and you're sharing information, you're a better performing team. And we can relate that to sports. We don't have, any sort of sports, but let's just say, basketball, and I'm no athlete, but, not everybody's going to be the best guard. Not everybody's going to be the best forward. So you need to maneuver your talent to where it's going to be most effective for the team. And the same goes in business. Whatever type of business you're in, whether it's running a grocery store or running a warehouse, and those leaders just recognizing where my talent is, where they best fit and maneuver, and recognizing that you're going to have high performing teams. You're going to have, especially with mutual respect, because people want the other person to succeed. They're not trying to undercut them. So with mutual respect and understanding, they're helping each other out because they want the company to succeed and they want you to succeed. Yeah, that's how it works.
That's great. And what plans do you have after the seminar?
Well, I'm hoping that, leaders, like I said, it's not about a one-on training or a week, but I'd love to visit the local business communities and just, answer any questions that people have about the challenges that they're having within their company, and, help them, like I said, elevate any challenges that they're having as far as recruiting, retention, or just people staying in the job. I think that is a big thing, is the retention of good people. And once they're trained on how to do the technical part of the job, it's keeping them motivated and that they go home. My daughter works for a preschool, and I asked her how her job is going, and she said, "I love it. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon." And she said that she had a coworker, come to work a little bit late because somebody had smashed the back window of her car and stole some stuff out of it. She was upset, but she came to work, and her and the colleague were working. The owner of that company took her keys, drove her car down to the car wash, vacuumed all the glass out, went to the AutoZone and got plastic over the back window to the insurance company, and he could settle the broken window, and brought the car back. And my daughter and her coworker said, I love this place. I love working here. And so that is the type of environment that you want your employees, to feel like I am valued, I am cared for and respected. And that, like I said, that is going to pay dividends, because you want people to stay with you and develop as a leader themselves. So the next person that you hire that comes in, they're going to show that same mutual respect. And yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to implement these sort of inclusive strategies. And again, the terms might be DEIA or diversity and inclusion training or anything, but it really is about engagement. It's about engagement, and it starts with the top. The leaders of the company need to set that tone of inclusion, and then they model that behavior to the other employees and shift leaders that they have.
Well, finally, you see a lot of signs around that workers are hard to get. I don't know if it's unemployment or difficulty with qualification.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any comment on the overall economic employment situation in our state right now, and how the relationship, if any, with this issue?
Yeah, I think because there are a lot of jobs, the unemployment is low. And I, like I said, I don't have any special education on this or analysis, except for my own personal thing, is that the younger people today, they want to feel good about where they're working. And if they don't feel good, they see a sign right across the street hiring. And they're, I think I'm a boomer. So in my day, we just stayed the same place and stuck it out for 20, 30 years, looking for that retirement pension check. And younger people today are investing their money in different ways. They're more apt to say, hey, I don't like this place, I'm going to try it over here. And even moving out of state and trying a job in an entirely different environment, they're much more willing to take those risks in today's world. So I think that's why they talk about the competitiveness for talent. Is like, that's why when you get them in the door, you interview them and you see they're qualified, you get them in the door, it is, making that connection with them, that they can grow here, they can have a good career here, and there's opportunities for them to make money and be successful, and showing them that way and connecting with them is going to keep them there. Like I said, they're going to go through that hard part, because when you start a new job or you move to a new place, there is that transition period where you're asking yourself, is this really going to work out for me? And so that inclusive leadership skill set, hopefully, like I said, will improve your retention rate. And when you have good retention, when you have an opening, your employees are saying, you should come work here. You should come work here, because it's a great place to work.
That's great. Well,
so that helps your recruiting.
Oh, yeah. I want to thank Doris Sumner from Empowering Gender Opportunities, LLC, and author of the book, Life at Camp, for joining Positively Vermont today. She's going to be speaking at the Milton Grange Hall on Wednesday, February 5th, and at 6 p.m. And we hope to see you sometime in the future to see how it's going with this very important issue. Thanks, Doris.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me. And again, I look forward to any business leader or representative to attend the event and gain some insight. I thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. This is Dennis McMahon, and thank you for watching Positively Vermont.